Another week brings Destiny into another week of Iron Banner. So, if you didn't know, Iron Banner is back again, which means the version of Iron Banner this week is actually Iron Banner Eruption. If you didn't know, last week was Zone Control, but because of an issue, they changed it to Eruption, and it is once again Iron Banner Eruption this week. And the associated challenge is basically completing Iron Banner matches wielding either Arc, Void, or Strand subclasses once again. I think this was just like last time. And of course, because Iron Banner, if you don't know what Eruption is, basically, to win, rack up points by defeating your opponents. You gain more points and a boost of energy at each final blow, while on a streak of 2 or more. While on a streak, the number of opponents you defeat in a single life, the streaks are broken into 2 tiers called Surging and Primed, that award you increasingly more points and energy at each final blow. But beware, once you become primed, you need to keep quickly defeating opponents or you'll erupt, aka you'll go boom. The hunt activates for your team when you or a teammate is primed by reaching a streak of 5 or more. At the start of the hunt, the whole team gets a boost of energy. It ends when your team has no more players primed. So basically with Eruption, if you get a team that's rolling and you keep rolling, you will pretty much almost always win. To that extent as well, while we're here in the Crucible tab, it is Mayhem for a rotation, and of course because Iron Banner is active, that means no trials. So, if you want to try to go flawless this weekend, now is not the time, because you literally can't. But aside from that, in the tower as well, when you actually spawn in, there is another step of fishing quest available at Hawthorne. I'm not sure if this is quest related to the exotic scout rifle that we haven't had access to just yet, but there is something new to do regarding fishing in addition to the seasonal story. Now, in terms of the world rotations, now currently in terms of the Vanguard playlist, the current active Nightfall strike is the Fallen Saber strike. Not so terrible in terms of Grandmaster. It's pretty solid farmable one. I wouldn't say it's one too tough to take your friend on their first Grandmaster either. Active modifiers being Arc and Void shields, Barrier and Overload champions, Arc threat for incoming Arc damage being boosted. It's mostly Fallen, so I'd recommend an Arc resistor too. Then as well, Grandmaster modifiers of the usual variety, Extinguish, Limited Revives, Arachno for Fallen Vandals spawning web mines at their feet, basically the big slow mines. Then Chaff for no radar, and the seasonal overcharged weapons, as well as Arc Surge, as well as Strand Surge, and overcharged fusion rifles specifically. Which actually kind of fitting, because if you wanted to run Nightfalls this week, it is currently for the Adept, the return of Loaded Question. If you didn't know, Loaded Question was an old Pinnacle high-impact frame arc fusion rifle that was recently reintroduced, and of course, because Grandmaster is once again active, you can earn Nightfall ciphers that can allow you to buy a few Loaded Questions if you're actually that into farming. It has some of the roles that made it OP in the first place, that being Reservoir Burst, but of course, it is a high-impact frame fusion, so it's not really in the meta in Crucible. Well, maybe. It's hard to tell. I don't play enough Crucible to claim what is meta. Oh, and look at that sneaky little 7th column / Bungie logo on there. How about that? But then, aside from that, into the rest of the world, nothing new in Gambit as per usual, and like I just mentioned with Crucible, Iron Banner is currently active. But then, in terms of the season, keeping the season right off the bat. So we have a new Into the Depths step. I believe we're on week 5 this week, so continuing the story on that point. And then as well, we have Salvage rotating, and like I said before, I thought it was one boss back and forth, but it seems to be random rotation on whether or not it's the Ogre or the Knight, so good luck with that. But in terms of the deep dives, since we're on week 5, in terms of the deep dive final boss, it will be the Wizard this time around. I forget their name, but it is either Servitor, Wizard, or Knight, and it is currently the Wizard if you wish to grind out deep dives for the final boss. Same with Salvage Legendary. Well, actually, no, I forgot that's Salvage and not Deep Dives, which is different. So, yep, then there's also Salvage Legendary. Let's see if it says anything for a guaranteed path. Equipment Lock, Legend Modifiers. Let's see. Repair jobs. So you'll have the Fallen, mostly, jobs at the Site Security, Site Reliability, Engineering, and Urgotha, the Taken Ogre, as well as Valka Ore. So there you go. In addition to that, you'll have Arc Surge, traditional overcharge weapons, Strand Surge, Overcharge Glaive, and rocket launchers as well for your overcharge in there. Then speaking of seasonal and overcharge, the Legend Defined Battlegrounds is in the EDZ this week. Overcharge being rocket launchers, Arc and Strand Surge, and then of course locked loadouts, Equipment Lock, Void Threat for incoming Void damage, and Overload Unstoppable champions on that note. Then in the raid rotations and all that sort of thing. So for our raid rotation, oh wait, no, not Dares of Eternity. I'm looking at, oh, I always forget. Legends tab. Prophecy is currently our legendary, or our farming dungeon. So if you wanted any of the gear from Prophecy, it is currently infinitely farmable. There's no exotic that's tied to random drops. It's all quests. So if you wanted the Ruinous Effigy, you wouldn't be able to farm for this one. So if you just kind of want to farm it out for gear or otherwise, that is a good kind of place to go. One of the longer ones, though, for a solo. And then for a rotation raid, it is currently Vow of the Disciple, which means that all challenges are currently active. Caretaker, Exhibition, Rolk, all of the above, as well as Master Mode available for Strength-focused armor. And on Master Mode as well, you will have all 3 elemental shields. Master modifiers, so you will have extra shields, maximum effectiveness of 1820, and extra champions. Overload Unstoppable champions, then Seasonal Overcharge, as well as Arc and Strand as usual, as well as Overcharged Fusion Rifle for FOW. And, of course, because it is Master, well, I'm not sure what else I was going to say there. Ah, right, access to Adept Vow of the Disciple weapons. I forget if these ones can be enhanced naturally, though, so just a heads up with that. Then, in terms of all of our raid challenges, starting with the Dreaming City, we have for Last Wish the Strength of Memory challenge, which I believe is Ribbon challenge of all of them. On the Moon for Garden of Salvation, we currently have the Link to the Chain challenge, which I believe is first encounter challenge, maybe second. I officially forget, but that's what it is active. Next we have, let's see, that was year 3, year 4. Ah, right. For Deepstone Crypt on its challenge mode, we do have currently the Core 4, which is, I almost said Rolk challenge. Tanix challenge, basically run 4-ball strat, and you'll be good to complete that one out. And then, of course, new Throne World, Vow of the Disciple, all challenges are active. In terms of Vault of Glass, it is currently Wait For It, which, if I recall, is Templar challenge. Basically, cannot allow Templar to teleport. And then for King's Fall, we have the Hands Off challenge, which that is another one that I keep forgetting, even though I've done all of them quite recently. I just haven't done that enough. And then going to Neptune for Root of Nightmares, the current active challenge is Illuminated Torment challenge, which is the first encounter challenge where you have to only kill the tormentors to extend your time by somebody who is charged with light or burdened by light or whatever the light buff is present at the first encounter. And of course, because it is the pinnacle one, you still have access to Master Mode for discipline focused armor, and of course Master Mode rewards of Adepts, as well as Overcharged Shotgun, in addition to the usual surges being active currently this week. And while we are in Neomuna, current Vex Incursion Zone is in Sephir Concourse, which also means Partition Backdoor, currently active for the Partition. And the weekly farming mission is the Downfall, where you have to go into Kalish's ship and destroy the Darkness Relay. Basically the one where Keitel bails you out at the end. You have to make a run for it after going after the... what's it called? Radial Mast. That's the word. And aside from that, that is pretty much everything out about in the world. Now, checking with Dares of Eternity as well. Lastly, I don't know why we didn't check into this as we did. Legend Mode, Cabal, Taken, and Crota for Legend Mode farming. Now, let's see, to get into continue with the seasonal stuff. Now, we have new challenges, of course, because it's week 5, 8 new challenges. Of course, completing week 5 of Into the Depths as usual. Then we also have Frontline Salvager 5 for completing 8 bounties from the sonar station in the Helm. Additionally, defeat powerful combatants anywhere in the system, which is pretty easy considering how many things are yellow bar nowadays. And we also have Heavy Salvager for defeating combatants with power weapons and salvage activities. Prepared for War, defeating targets with hand cannons or pulse rifles. Defeated guardians or combatants defeated in salvage or deep dives activities, granting additional progress. Battle Rhythm for defeating targets anywhere in the solar system while using auto rifles, hand cannons, scout rifles, blades, or linear fusion rifles. Of course, bonus progress for defeating guardians. Gotta win them all for completing activities in Gambit, Vanguard, or Crucible playlists. Bonus activity or bonus progress is granted for completing Vanguard playlists at higher difficulties or winning Gambit or Crucible matches. And the usual Iron Banner challenge of Iron Sharpens Iron for completing Iron Banner matches, bonus progress for wins. And of course, Flood Tide for acquiring the Last Right Scout Rifle. If you don't know how to do that, basically play Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard playlist activities, and eventually after ranking up enough, you'll gain access to the Last Right once you acquire rank 16. Which is, not gonna lie, not that great from what I've heard, but you know, still a quirky rifle nonetheless. Then, to that extent as well, we have to check in with Banshee and Ada. Now, oh wait, almost forgot something again. In terms of our weekly fishing zone, I wouldn't be surprised. The Miasma in the Throne World. I don't know if this is connected considering it was the... well, no. Actually, no, week 5, that rotation does make sense. But at the same time, this is probably in connection with the fishing rally, whatever new quest is going on. but at the same time, this is probably the best time to farm out fish, because I think in terms of focusing, this is the longest area that has the between cooldown on public events, so it's easiest to build up the charge. Then in terms of Banshee, we have a few options. Lodbrok C, a high impact frame auto rifle from Season of the Chosen. While this roll is pretty meh, I'm not gonna lie, there have been some pretty solid rolls to come out of this. If you are an enjoyer of high impact frame auto rifles, this is probably one of the best options on the market nowadays. We also have Nezarec's Whisper, which is an Arc Glaive from Season of the Haunted with the Extrovert origin trait. It is craftable, of course, and I would honestly recommend crafting this one. Of all the glaives that I've seen push out recently, I think this is one of the ones that most people use for endgame builds. I don't know if it's just because it's one of the few Arc legendary glaives, or if it's the access to a few good perks, as well as the Extrovert perk being pretty handy in the red space. Then we also have Cantata 57, which is a Soros Adaptive Frame Arc Hand Cannon, which is available from Season of the Witch Queen, which I guess that's the right word. Which, this is probably one of the best Crucible hand cannons you can get your hands on nowadays, but in terms of PvE, not exactly great. Plenty of other options, of course, being adaptive. It has plenty of, let's say, adaptive competition. And then Sail Spy Pitch Glass, another craftable arc linear fusion rifle from Season of the Plunder, which I'm not gonna lie, if you wanted something other than Taipan, this is a pretty solid perk. Combinations like Clown Cartridge and Volt Shot is pretty good for damage. I do know it also has access to Focus Fury, Rapid Fire, or Rapid Hit, let me say. So, not probably one of the meta, but one that you could also use in case you're just bored of the regular fusion rifles. And then you also have Contingency Plan, which is an Arc Viced Rapid Fire Scout Rifle, available back from Season Lost, which this is probably one of the best. I know there is a few other Viced Rapid Fires out there, and also ones that have origin traits, but rolls like this one is pretty meh, but I have a roll that is Outlaw Kill Clip that I use on my Hunter. The last time I went to the Crucible that was on Bannerfall ages ago for trials, this is something that people didn't expect, because the Vice Rapid Fire, it's like, I don't know if you heard that, but it's like, it's a pretty, obviously it's quick. It only takes 4 shots of the head to kill. In addition to that, if you actually proc Kill Clip, it's only 3 at that point. So, well, that used to be. I'm not sure if it changed recently, but 3 shots kill, I think this is a underdog meta for a lot of people. Then in terms of our main options, the other one nowadays that I was mentioning, Jaraka 3SR, which is a Vice Stasis Scout Rifle, available in the kinetic slot, so it's a little unique. Also Vice Rapid Fire with access to 4 times Charm and Focus Fury, as well as some decent range bores and all that. Now, if you wanted a kinetic that was pretty solid for just sustained DPS, this would probably be the thing I would pick. Just because Vice Stinger with the auto reload 4 times the Charm is always great to keep a lot of ammo. And we also have Glissando 47, a precision frame Strand Scout Rifle, one of the first of its kind, a Strand Suros one. So a little bit more favored for Crucible. Box Breathing allows you to get a quicker time to kill, because Box Breathing is pretty just generally great for headshots. And then Discord, basically just over around, let's see, Final Blows grant increased weapon speed for ADS, accuracy, airborne effectiveness, and while it is active, Final Blows return ammo. So basically Subsistence plus Killing Wind all at once. So it seems like this is a pretty solid roll for PvP. Good range, good reload or more ammo. Pretty solid. Then a Sidearm, Redback 5SI, lightweight. I'm not going to go into it because I don't think there's much play in sidearms outside of Crucible. Harsh Language, which is a returning weapon back at Season of Season of Defiance. I forgot about it. Now this is a wave frame, and it's a unique one because with access to the field tested origin trait pretty solid, a wave frame that also has destabilizing rounds, which is pretty nifty if I recall on this gun. I have to remember various other things. Envious Assassin is also there, but personally I'm not a fan of this one. But you know, Harsh Language, it is a new wave frame nowadays, so it's hard to compete. Let's see how it goes. And then Memory Interdict, which is another returning grenade launcher from Future War Cult. No origin trait, pretty meh perks altogether on this one. It's hard to like this one. As well as Nazruddin, a adaptive frame sword. Of course, because it has access to the field-tested origin trait, it has better guard rate, or charge rate and guard resistance, so it's pretty solid, although class swords kind of took everything over last season once they got reintroduced, so, you know, it's hard to vouch for a random sword. Now to shaders. Alrighty, visiting Ada, we have a return of Satchmo Tribe, which I believe was last week, if not last week, the week just prior, which is basically one of the ones that I like best for a frosty Arctic look, which has a solid agreeance to it just because of the metallic white on it. It's not a dull white, but like I mentioned before, it does have the weird Black Armor Radiance effect that every now and again my eye would catch and it would look a little weird. So in some armor sets, it can hide it very well. But, you know, I would prefer that to not have a live effect, or a live effect that could turn off. We also have Bray Innovation from Season of the Warmind, which is back during Season 3. This is pretty much one of those I want to look like I work in a place ornaments. So if you ever wanted to rep Bray Tech and Mars, this is probably the shader to go for that. We also have Dead Orbit's Fate, which, like all Dead Orbit shaders, is blue rarity, but also pretty sleek looking just because of the stick to the black and white. Which, not gonna lie, this is still pretty much one of the sleekest blue ornaments blue rarity shaders I've seen in a long time. For that is everything for the reset. All this will rotate out next week in case you need any of the activities Aphomore mentioned. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion, and I'll see you in the next video.